If you had seen me in my first month of trading, a lot would make sense to you. I was literally sitting in front of the chart for 6, sometimes even for hours, 7 hours, just watching candles were going up, falling, reversing, then flying somewhere up or down again. And I had the feeling that I was looking at anything but the system. Every price spike felt like the start of the big move. Every indicator crossover looked like a chance to finally make money. I was constantly waiting for something, that entering, that exiting, that entering again, and almost always it was driven by emotion. In reality, I wasn't trading the market. I was trying to guess it. Sometimes I guessed right, but more often I didn't. And the worst part wasn't even the losses, it was a feeling that you simply don't understand what's happening at all. At some point, I felt like professional traders knew some secret, some formula or trick that no one talks about publicly. Like they had access to sometimes hidden, and I was just looking in the wrong place. I searched for complex solutions, added indicators, changed approaches, jumped from one idea to another, and the more I complicated things, the more chaotic the market felt. Then a very simple but important realization came. Chaos is not a property of the market. Chaos is a state of the trader who doesn't have a system. When you don't understand what exactly you're looking for on the chart, any movement looks important. When you don't have clear conditions, the market feels random. But the moment a system appears, everything changes. You stop seeing individual candles and start seeing structure, not a noise, not phases, but random moves with logic. I won't say this happened in one day. It was a long process through mistakes, through stop losses, through moments when I wanted to quit everything. But that's when I started to truly understand the market, and then once looked like chaos began to look like a clear, revealing pictures. Today I went to show you how I exactly came to this, without flashing promises and without a theory or the sake of theory, just to show the path for complete confusion to a system that actually works. I genuinely want this video to become that point for you where the market stops looks like chaos. I don't promise miracles, but if you watch carefully, a lot of things will start falling into place. If you're interested in seeing how the system works out, just in words, but in real time, you can check out my Telegram. There, I break down the trades directly on the chart, share analysis, and give access to my AI bot that looks some impulse and sends a signal time. The link is in the bio under this video. My system didn't appear overnight, and the results of the large amount of time spent simply observing the market. I watched where movements really develop and where everything ends up going on nowhere. And over time, it became clear that I didn't need a complex set of tools. I just need two answers. And is there a strength in the move right now? So does it have directions? That's how I came to this combination: Awesome Oscillator and a simple moving average. SMA with a period of 10 and AO for me is a main indicator. It shows whether the momentum is appearing or the contrast is starting to fade without trying to predict anything. Just the current state of the market, but the momentum alone is enough. It can appear anywhere, even where trading makes no sense at all. That's why I use MASA as a filter. It's more to prevent from me entering the market just because something glitched. So is there no direction? I simply skip the signal. When AO turns green and crosses the zero line from the bottom, it means the market is starting to gain strength. At that moment, I'll look at the SMA. If it's pointing upward and its price is holding above it, it moves makes sense. This is no longer guessing, it's just normal working situation. If AO turns red and goes below zero, that's a signal that momentum is fading. So, and if at this SMA time starts pointing down, it means the market is most likely changing direction. It's always a sharp reversal, but it's definitely a moment where you should be cautious, not cling to the old idea. The most useful thing about AO for me is that almost always reacts earlier than it becomes obvious on the candles. While most people are looking at the price and thinking that everything is continuing, AO already shows that energy is running out and vice versa. When a move is just starting to form, AO often goes in the the whole system comes down to a simple rule: I don't enter based on momentum and I don't trade based on the direction. So I need to wait until these two things line up, because separately they don't give anything, but together they create a clear and calm entry point. Here's a classic situation that I like the most. The price had been moving sideways for quite a while. Nothing interesting, just going nowhere. So collecting liquidity, exhausting those who were trying to trade very small move. And in moments like this, I simply observe observe and don't rush anything. Then AO is the first thing that starts to change. The bars to turn green and cross the zero line for me. And this is a signal that energy is appearing in the market. Not noise, not random spike, but real momentum. This usually means that larger participation has started carefully push the price upward. Next, I look at the SMA, and this is the important steps. It's a not flat, not moving a sideways, but clearly pointing upward. The angle is clean and readable. This tells me that the move has direction. The market has already decided where it wants to go. This is where many people make some mistakes. Some to enter early right on the right green AO bar. Others wait too long and enter when half of the move is already gone. I try not to do either. I simply wait for the candles to close above the SMA, and this is my filter and my calm point. Candle closes above and create the condition match. Only then do a open buy a trade for 1 minute. No rush, no emotions. After that, the market does exactly what it should. The first candle moves confidently without pullbacks. The second continues the move. The third one locks it in it, and the trade closes. Profit plus $28, and that's what the matter is, the number itself. What is that? This is the not guessing or luck. It's a simple combination of two things. The market gain energy and the energy matched the direction. Everything else the market did not on its own. The second situation is completely mirrored, and before that the price was rising and the move looked confident. And this is exactly the moment when many people continue to believe that the growth is just beginning. If you look or not at the emotions but at the state of the market, the picture changes again. AO shows this first. It starts to move down, the bars turn red and go below the zero line. For me, this is a direct signal that momentum is weakening. Buyers are no longer pushing the market the way they were before. So energy is starting to leave. I immediately shift my attentions to the SMA 10. It stops rising, becomes flatter, and then gradually starts to tilt downward. This is an important moment when momentum fades and direction begins to change. The market very often makes a sharp pullback, and it usually happens exactly when most people still believe that the rise will continue. I don't enter immediately, I just wait for one additional bar to make sure this isn't a random spike or noise. When the confirmation is there, I open a trade to the downside calmly without rushing. The market makes a classic impulse pullback. The move is fast, clean, without unnecessary hesitation. 1 minute later, the trade closes in profit plus $340, and here the logic exactly the same. I'm not trying to guess a reversal, I'm just simply reading where the market energy is going and which direction it's starting to look. This is exactly the kind of moment that truly saves deposits. AO jumps, a green bar appears, and most traders instantly press the button. Just on luck, because it looks like it's moving. In moments like this, I always look at the SMA and it's flat. It's not pointing up or down, which means there is no direction right now. And no matter how nice the impulse looks, entering here turns into a simple lottery. So I skip this without regret and without the urge to try. And then the market shows everything on its own. A couple of minutes later, the price stops sharply, and if I had entered to buy a trade like most people do, it would have been a clean loss. This is exactly why I value the system and doesn't just give entry points, it also tells you in the whether it's better to do nothing at all. When you trust the system instead of emotions, it truly starts protecting you. So now let me show you a moment that many people consider the most difficult, how the system works during news. Today, inflation's data from the United Kingdom was released, and as usual, most people wait for the news itself, the numbers, the headlines, and then try to jump into the market after the fact. But if you look not at the news but at the chart, the picture starts forming earlier, about half an hour before the data releases. AO begins to change the behavior. The bars turn green and momentum start to build a gradual. No sharp moves, no panic, just a steady accumulations of strength. I look at the SMA 10 and it's confidently pointing upward, not flat, not certain, but with a clear slope. For me, this is the main signal that the market is already preparing for a move. Not because someone read the report, but because big money start positioning it in advance. I entered before the news came out, calmly, according to the system, without trying to guess the numbers. And when the data was released, the market simply exploded upward. No pullbacks, no pauses, pure impulsive movement, and yet it is important to understand this correctly. This is not magic and not insider information. It's the result of observations. The market almost never reacts to news in vacuum. In most cases, preparation starts in advance. And if you know how to read momentum and directions, you see it before the headlines. AO is especially good at showing this change in energy first. That's why for me, news is not chaos and not a casino. It's just another moment where the system either confirms itself or tells you don't get in. And today it did its job exactly the way it should. When I was just starting out and seriously looking at the charts for the first time, it felt like completely chaos. Candles was moving back and forth. The market would suddenly surge and then stop just as sharply, and it seemed like there was no logic here at all. Like today, I understand one simple thing. Order was always there. It was just hidden beneath crowd, emotions, rush, fear, and the desire to make quick money. At some point, Awesome Oscillator gave me that understanding. I started to see not just a price moment, but the strength behind that moment. And I realized that energy never appears out of nowhere. It always builds up and always shows itself in advance. If you know where to look, SMA in return taught me the most important thing: not to react impulsively, not to respond every spike, and not to try to be in the market all the time. It helped me filter it out noise and understand where a move actually makes sense and where the market is simply playing with emotions. This is exactly what gave me stability, not because the system is magical or guarantees result, but because it shows the truth about the market at a specific moment in a time. And the truth is always better than guesses. If you want to learn how to see the market just as calmly and clearly, you can check out my Telegram. There I break down trades directly on the chart, share analysis, and give access to an AI bot that looks for the impulses in real time. Support the video with a like if it was helpful. And remember one thing, chaos disappears not even the market changes, but when understanding appears.